back in Boston after our trip to Canada, and we've had the opportunity to spend some weekends anchored out near the Boston Harbor Islands that have a beautiful view of the city. And as always, we try to get some work on the boat to keep it in top shape. We will show you some of our trips to Boston Harbor Islands and some stormy weather where we dragged anchor, and also a trip with my niece Chrissy on board. We're very cautious, and we all got COVID tested before spending a week together. Friday night, and there is a lot of traffic coming out of Boston. That's the P-Town ferry ahead. Just went by. Ahoy! The cockpit is large enough that we can socially distance outside or raft up with friends, and Long Island is a nice place to spend a day. Don't scare the cat, Tiller. She likes the starfish. Go! It's cold. I guess there goes the squirrel.
Go get it. Go get it. Am I going to have to swim? Go get it.
Because the tide is going in, so this current come back.
Another Boston Harbor Island where we like to anchor is Peddocks Island. That island has a nice beach. It doesn't have a lot of current, so it's great for swimming. And more importantly, it really has a fabulous view of the city at sunset. It's often crowded in the summer, but the motorboats typically leave around sunset, so it's a quiet anchorage during the evening and mornings when you anchor there over the weekend.
In my heart, it's weighing me down, baby. I'm like a river that's overflowed. The sooner you know it, the less do we hurt.
I love the view of Boston from the water, especially when we're turning in the evening. You'd almost think that there wasn't a pandemic going on because the city looks quite normal. But the view from downtown is very different, with most of the office buildings being empty still. Also, being in the Northeast means storms. Here was a little storm that blew in while we were at the marina. We actually clocked up to 55 knots.
37.
It was a lightning protection system explained in episode 54.
Look how much tilt he has now.
Oh, the monohull.
Yeah.
After this storm that was just last week in early October, we could see debris in the water and also some damage, unfortunately, to sailboats at the Courageous Sailing Center, which is a sailing school for children. One clear Friday night in late August, we left for Peddington Island on Friday, and it looked like beautiful weather, although storm cells in the area had been reported. We anchored out, and we awaited arrival of our friends from the sailing vessel Edifix, who had said they were going to be coming into Boston. We thought it'd be fun to raft up, so we set out some fenders and some lines to get ready to receive them. Just as we got tied up, we discussed the storm cells in the area, and then I received a text from a friend in the marina. We could see that storm cell, and it was heading our way. It was clear that with the two boats tied together, we were starting to drag, even though we'd anchored in the exact same spot many times with no problem. But with a heavy load of two boats and gusts of 50 or more knots, we had to take some action. So Edifix got on their boat, we separated the two boats, and they had to hold their own until the winds had abated so they could anchor. Rock and roll in the anchorage for the small boats. There were lots of calls for help on Channel 16.
Hailing the Coast Guard. This is Coast Guard Sector Boston, Channel 16. Go ahead.
The water is coming over our bow.
Vessel reporting water over your bow. This is the Coast Guard. What is your position? Over.
We're just at high tide now, and I went down to 14 feet, for 13 feet for a while there.
Oh yeah, okay. So do you want to lift it right now, or do you want to wait till the rain stops? We had dragged anchor well attached to Edifix, so we decided to lift anchor and go back to the position where we had been before. You can see that on our chart because we keep the historical of all our positions on our chart. So we're going to hope the anchor's not caught in any garbage. But we're close enough to shore there shouldn't be any lobster pots. So you want to do it right now?
Sure.
Yeah, it was a bit too much for the two boats. And so now that it's all over, you're going to have your rum, okay? And
Which is 50 minutes ago, we had a wind gust of up to 47 knots when we got the worst of the storm.
and there's still lightning going on.
Yeah, but it's past now. So that's the wind. It shifted all the way up here. And then now it's coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't too fun. And it kind of destroyed our dinner. But I guess dinner's back on track.
Yep. So what are you cooking, Lisa?
I'm going to make a risotto.
And
We made homemade bread, but it collapsed because I didn't take it out of the
because of
bread
the bad
maker.
weather, temperature,
Bad weather.
pressure, the atmospheric pressure changed too much.
Yeah, that's it. That's my excuse and I'm sticking with it. And salad, very simple. And nice wine. Chablis.
And
Alright.
our friends are anchored just to the right of us.
Final expedition.
At least the lightning stopped. More or less.
Merci.
Bye, à bientôt.
The Boston Harbor Islands are now part of the National Park Service. In the 19th century, 7 forts were built to defend the harbor. Some of them restored today as part of the Boston Park Service. In 1885, the U.S. President Grover Cleveland appointed the Secretary of War, William Endicott, to reinforce the American coast defenses, which started a massive construction of forts referred to as the Endicott period of forts. In Boston Harbor, the complex geography of the region required 7 strategically placed forts to protect the harbor. The Endicott-era forts were constructed with concrete walls that concealed large, breech-loading, rifled cannons mounted on disappearing carriages. These disappearing carriages allowed new rifled cannons to be raised above the walls, aimed and fired, and then quickly moved back underneath the walls, becoming invisible from the sea. Fort Andrews is on the east side of Pettox Island and once served as an active artillery post, and in World War II it held some prisoners of war. In World War II, German U-boats started attacks against merchant ships all along the east coast of the United States. One German submarine snuck into Boston Harbor to mine the entrance. This ship, U-215, was sunk in 1942 and lies south of Nova Scotia, with her hatches still sealed and 49 German sailors entombed within. U-boats were never able to enter Boston Harbor because of the net defenses and submarine detecting indicator loops. Just going past Level Island. So because of the wind, we're going to anchor on the other side of Pettington Island, and we're just going to the cut at Windmill Point. When we anchor out, we always seem to be working on something, especially as we prepare for a passage south. So you're getting ready to go up the mast again to tighten up the VHF, which I think is...
No, it's the cell phone antenna, but also to put a few little rubber patches.
Where the mast rotates, where the flexible lashing is, it touches the mast a little bit.
So I'll put a couple of small
Rubber patches there.
to protect the
It's
mast.
getting shaped?
No, it's just touching the carbon fiber a little bit, so I'll put the little rubber things about this side to protect it. And here, that's the main halyard 2-to-1, which I feed directly into my harness. And so this is extremely strong, so it's not a worry. But what I like to do is I like to double that up with a small Dyneema line, just in case this lets go for some reason. So it gives me a backup. See, like this. So this becomes a safety.
I think it's on. Later, I went for a swim to check the state of the props. In early September, we took a trip to P-Town and then to Cape Cod with our niece, Chrissy McCabe. Unfortunately, on the way down, the wind didn't behave as predicted, and so we had to go upwind all the way to P-Town. Boston Harbor, we saw our friends Edifix, who were also headed towards P-Town. They sent us a couple texts. Say hello, Chrissy.
Hi.
If you like this content, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. It's easy to do, just push the thumbs up button. It helps inspire me to make more videos. In the next video, we'll talk about continuing our preparations to go south, and I'll also explain why you're going to be seeing Pierre wearing a sling. He had a dislocated shoulder and is recovering, and so we may have a change in plans.
So tell me what happened.
Like what? You know what happened?
You can move your fingers, which is good prognosis. Let's see.
Well, so much. The height is...